Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Nightreign. Today we're talking more sovereign or hard mode versions of the bosses, with that update that introduced the hard mode of Adel, and then after that, next week we know we're going to get Sentient Pest, and then very likely the week after that, the Dark Drift Knight. Now as you likely know, with the introduction of these hard mode bosses we have a new currency, these sovereign marks, which you can use to, well, force a bunch of different things to occur, as well as access the new catalogue, such as the new upgraded special relic for the current sovereign boss. But then we have the specific relics for each character that have really changed the game. And so I want to do an updated build and setup for the relics, all the different Nightfarers, with specifically Sovereign Adel in mind. For some general advice before we get into any specific build, be aware of the weaknesses of Adel. Using lightning against Adel is obviously a bad idea, and fire is not a great idea either. While Adel can bleed, it does have some reasonable resistance to it, but it will proc a few times during a fight, so it's not bad. But poison, rot, and of course frostbite are going to be amazing statuses to run in this fight in particular. If you can do a mix of statuses, Adel is very vulnerable to that. You'll also note that the poison weakness, that stun vomit effect, doesn't seem to really work in this harder version. Also, since it's kind of counting as a dragon, it seems that dragon damage is actually relevant. So if you have the shifting earth from mountaintops where you get increased dragon damage for your armaments, that's good. You might find it as a dormant power, or there's dragon wound grease, which you could save for the final fight. So we're going to do this in a bit of a different order, starting with Executor as kind of my top pick for dealing with hard mode Adel in particular. Like I said, with the weaknesses being so good for poison, frost, rot, and then also a bit of bleed, obviously Executor is your top choice for that. We also have an update for your relic setup with this in mind. There's that new relic that we just mentioned that you can buy for I think 3 of the new marks. Permanent attack power up every jail you take down. Then you start with a key to help with that, and treasures marked. This means for the duration of whether you're in a group or solo run, you try to do as many jails as possible. To make sure you're getting the keys needed for this, make sure you're running Fort Height and going into the large cathedrals and searching on the top floor. There's the bigger chest, which usually drops one of these stone sword keys. Alongside that, it's the classic picks, Knight of Miasma and Knight of the Wise, so it's an all yellow setup, super easy to get activated. The Caligo relic is so good because it gives you this guaranteed frostbite effect. It gives you an Ash of War that creates chilling mist that deals great frostbite buildup, but buffs your weapon with frost as well. If you're fighting someone affected by frostbite, you get a damage up. If they're affected by frostbite, they take more damage anyway, and you get a little stealth for it, making things just really easy. Combine that with Knight of the Wise, and your starting armament starts with bleed, frost, and poison too, which is obviously the weakness of Adel. When you trigger that poison, you get increased attack power, and if during the run you find a rot weapon on top of all of this, even better. So with this very simple and easy to access setup, in my opinion, this is just the strongest thing you can go for. Every single time I've done this, it's felt absolutely incredible. So my top pick for this is honestly Executor. Next up for the list of great options for this, I'm going to talk about everyone's favourite Ironeye, and a pretty important relic setup. Ioneye's new relic gives you exactly what you need for this purpose. Your ult charge, when fully charged, is a guaranteed poison proc. If you're facing a poison afflicted enemy, you deal more damage. And we've got +3 ultimate art gauge, just to make it more likely you can use your ult. It does everything you need for this concept. With that concept in mind, I used the chalice, so we've got the any relic slot, and a convenient green. Now you might have a better setup than me, but what I've got here is unfortunately another ult charge effect for Ironeye. I'd love to replace this if I could, but physical attack up, ultimate art gauge, not terrible. An alternative to this then would be Knight of the Beast, giving me that stamina recovery as I successfully land my attacks, meaning I've got that little bit extra stamina to evade, and starting fire damage isn't terrible either. So this green slot's pretty versatile. For me, the any slot had to be used to make sure that I can get this specific relic. Basically, the most important thing you can have on Ironeye, in my opinion, is this line, plus 1 additional character skill use. Your skill use is iframes, movement, and obviously you've got to keep that mark active until it procs for the damage and mini stun. So you can do that by reapplying the mark before it runs off. Having 2 mark charges allows that to happen every time. So I use this any relic slot for that purpose. Through this setup then, you've got guaranteed poison for its main weakness. You'll be popping those weak points every single time, and you'll have reliable iframes to keep surviving all of its dangerous attacks. Obviously that new Ironeye red relic is peak for this concept. Next up then, we have the big boy, Raider, who got some awesome changes and options in this update. Firstly, we have his new yellow relic, which is going to be great if you're going to do colossal weapons in two-hand. Extending the buff of your boulder is a really nice detail too, and the endurance certainly is nice too. However, it's the universal ones that I prefer. Whether you're going to go two-hand, this is going to be great too as a green slot. But the best in my opinion is this one, the red one. Improved stance breaking when wielding 2 armaments. So one of the best things you can do with Raider is get a nice power stance setup and go ham with L1 spam or jumping L1s. This also provides stamina recovery on each successive attack, so you're actually getting way more stamina out of this in a red slot. Plus 3 endurance on top. This is ridiculous. So for this setup then, I'm running exactly that relic. I've got it set up in a red, blue and yellow slot. This allows me to run Knight of the Baron, improve critical hits, getting ult charge as I land critical hits, and that gives me big recovery speed for the stamina. Really nice for a blue slot, to be honest, for this guy. And since we're going to be going for stance breaks really hard with Raider in general and this relic setup, you're going to be getting those criticals. You want to be trying to get them. Lastly, for the yellow slot, we have this relic. The most important line for Raider for his unique perks is damage taken while using character skill improves your attack power, amazing, and stamina. The other stuff doesn't really matter. If you can fit this into the build, it's fantastic. If you have absolutely nothing for that, then consider the new Everdark permanent attack power increase one that we talked about for the others. Scaling power is always a good thing. But yeah, this is very much about stance breaking and power stancing, and it feels absolutely phenomenal against Adel. Interrupting it, knocking it down, getting many criticals throughout the fight. This is one of the easiest wins and kills that I got for it. Strongly recommend it. He's just such a reliable, kind of overly forgiving one for this fight. So yeah, I found it really easy on him. Next up then we have Wylder, who is another one that has high health and stamina potential. And with his relics, it's absolutely insane. I will say his is a nice blue slot, to be fair. Getting that AoE down with the fire, really big damage there. Going into a fire build with this is going to be phenomenal, but I'm not actually running it. What I'm running instead is the classic red, yellow and anything slot, and of course I'm running the final version of Wylder's earring, which you get by wearing a specific relic and fighting the final boss, doing the alternative ending. With this, you get that stamina recovers successive attack, you get the all-important second claw shot slot, and you get the art activation spreads fire after using the ult anyway. It's undeniably one of the best relics in the game, and is one that you can guarantee get by fully completing the Remembrance storyline and doing the final boss in that specific way. It's a no-brainer. With that, we have the permanent increase of attack power for each ever jail. This is absolutely busted, and that's why it's in a bunch of these builds. It changes the way that you path, obviously, but as long as you're going for jails and hunting down keys in specific, you can get a massive amount of power through this. So again, strongly recommended. Lastly, in the any slot, I love the Bloodborne rally mechanic, especially for Wylder because I can blindly trade, plus you're getting vigor and poise. It's insane. So this trio setup feels absolutely busted, and Wylder was already one of the best Nightfarers in the game, if not the best. This setup feels insane. Alright, next up we have Duchess, who isn't quite as good as the previous foe that we've just highlighted, but still a very good option because you can still do things like frost and poison very well with this setup. She's not like a super status builder, but with her fast successive attacks and the benefits of that, you are actually doing alright with status. And again, Adel is vulnerable to that. Now, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this new relic in specific for Duchess, because we're already getting lots of invisibility and benefits without running this. Let me show you. We have, just like Executor, this heavy focus on status. We have Knight of Miasma, so Caligo's relic, and of course Knight of the Wise, the Sentient Pest relic, combined with the Crown medal. Let's walk ourselves through this real quick. So again, just like we saw with Executor, you're going to start with a dagger, which is what you want to run for the entire run. So you'll go into the mines early to get that upgraded on day one. This starting dagger has Chilling Mist, so you can generate that frostbite super easy by using that Ash of War as a weapon buff. Your attack power when attacking a frostbitten enemy goes up, and because they're frostbitten, they take more damage too. Further, every frost proc that you have triggers a new invisibility, meaning it's completely free to DPS in most cases. It's insane. Combine that with Knights of the Wise, and you can double up on poison for the weakness of Adel. Obviously, the poison causes attack power as well with this setup, and you actually benefit from increased maximum FP. This equates to plus 5 mind, that specific first line, which is absolutely insane. So if you end up using some spells, because you are obviously decent with intelligence scaling, that's not bad either. So this two together, always super strong. The last slot goes to Crown Medal, since we're definitely going to be running the dagger for the entire run, based on our starting relics. Improving dagger attack power is obvious, but then dagger chain attacks will reprise your event, so your character skill will trigger without activating the cooldown. To actually get this to work, by the way, you have to do the full light attack combo, which is pretty quick with a one-handed dagger, so that's what you're trying to do. Then you can time your actual character skill for that reprise whenever there's a relevant burst, status proc, or whatever. So the burst potential with this, combined with another Executor doing the same thing, by the way, is comical and will work incredibly well, of course, for Adel. Right, next up we have Guardian, who I think is still a decent choice, even though undeniably his output's low. He's never going to be a top pick for me because I think his DPS is the lowest in the game, and that ain't for me. But if you're struggling with the fight, obviously he's so survivable and reliable, with his just solid guarding and upgrading your shield or finding a good shield, and obviously using his passive ability and timing the steel guard activation in particular. For his relic setup then, it's very basic. I've got the blue-blue-green setup. The reason for that is mainly to use Knight of the Champion. You get health back on thrusting counterattacks, but the most important thing here is that you're going to be mainly doing damage through guard counters. So it boosts the damage you've got based on current health. The bigger your health pool, great, but you need to be full health to maximize this. Obviously, with Guardian being the best scaler for health, you can tank unbelievable hits against Adel and make this work really well. Around that, if you're in a team, then you need this line. Draw enemy attention while guarding, and then you've got the +3 vigor to further boost your health. This is a purchasable from the Jar Bazaar relic, so there's no downside, you can buy this no problem. If you're solo, then you don't need the draw enemy attention while guarding, I could run something maybe more impactful. For that last slot, I don't really have anything amazing here. Improving my endurance is nice, so that I can tank those bigger hits and then actually get to do the guard counter. If you have something better in this third slot, go for it. With that in mind, I'd probably recommend the purchasable relic for this purpose, reflecting a portion of damage when you're doing that guard, obviously nice. Then you get 2 vigor and endurance to further help, so it's probably a better setup overall. And that's what I'd recommend for Guardian in this case. Right, we have our last two to talk about. Firstly, we'll go for Recluse. For the relics of Recluse then, of course you're going to run the classic 2. The bone-like stone relic that comes from the Remembrance storyline. You're going to get increased health from the ultimate, but in exchange you're going to have blood loss when you activate it. This gives you obviously the classic attack power bonuses of potential dormant powers you'll find in the run, ones that trigger bonuses from blood loss. Alongside that, you have the Vestige of Night, which is the classic drop the Terra Magica and also have magic attack power at the same time relic. Again, coming from Remembrance storyline, so guaranteed and phenomenal. I think we all know that. But then you've got this third kind of unknown awkward slot. You just use anything that really makes sense there, but there is a new relic to consider. The new green option, which is max FP up when you have 3 staffs, and then more max FP as you clear Sorcerer's Rises. And you want to do that a lot on this character every time. Plus magic attack power up. It's phenomenal. So it's going to be hard to beat if you can fit it. So Revenant's main issue as always in this current state of her is her lacking FP. There is good potential here for that. Revenant's new relic, a blue, means you're going to strengthen your family and allies when you use your ult. That's awesome, makes the ult even better. Giving your allies and also summons benefits if you use items, good. And we start with a Starlight Shard to help you manage your FP when you need it for certain boss fights. So not a bad new relic at all. There is also the gimmick one that gives you a bunch of them. I don't recommend it, it's a bit of a waste of a slot. The main relic you get is from one of the early Remembrance unlocks, the one that's going to give you increased power when fighting alongside your family. So while you've got a summon out, obviously that's great. But if you can RNG that power with other perks that are a bit better as a second and now empty third line, could be awesome. You'll also see a lot of people run this line, Trigger Ghost Flame Explosion. It means your ultimate just does a big bit of burst when you activate it. Also pretty decent. In this case, we also have max FP when we have 3 staffs, so I do look to try to get that. And you start with the Starlight Shards, just like that other relic we mentioned. So this is also phenomenal. I also have this one as a third slot, max FP up when you've got 3 Sacred Seals. You're very likely going to be doing that, so it's another way to help the FP. Then we got a bit of health and character skill cooldown reduction. But I would like to at least acknowledge Knight of the Wise. It gives you increased maximum FP, which is like 5 mind, like I said, which is great. And if you're going to run the whole run with your starting weapon, which is very reasonable for this character, Giving it poison and extra attack power when you poison, specifically when facing Adel who's weak to that, it's also a very good choice. Finally, the line Wraith Calling Bell in possession at the start of Expedition can be one of her top tier best options for reliable output, since she starts with really bad incantations on her starting seal for some reason. If you can fit this onto any of the relics we looked at today, just on top, well, that'd be amazing. But yeah, there you have it. That's my overview of my best setups with hard mode Adel in mind. I hope this updated look and overview and reasoning has helped you out. If you guys have any other advice, tips, or setups for the builds, then you can drop that in the comments. You might just help someone. But I wish you the best of luck with this harder version of Adel. And of course, we'll be back to cover more for the next hard boss, which is very likely going to be sentient pest guys. So prep your fire setups, I guess. Until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.